Hey everybody, it's Casey from Pinecase. Today is another Tuesday afternoon. Actually, we're a little bit earlier than we usually are. Today we have, usually we're like 8 p.m. We kind of kick it into the evening. Afternoon sort of thing. Murray, tell me a story. Where are you at right now?
Well, I'm out visiting my daughter out at Redfish, out at the old Riverview Hospital out of Vancouver there. And I'm supposed to be in Texas right now, actually, but our work visas didn't go through. So here I am.
Here you are. I actually thought that place was completely shut down. I didn't even realize it was still in operation.
Well, the old hospital isn't. They've got a whole new thing going on out here. A bunch of new buildings and stuff. It's a nice, high-tech looking place.
Ooh, I like that. It's nice when they start refurbishing some old stuff, right? I mean, it's that.
Well,
that stuff
they've left the old buildings there. I think they're still filming horror movies in them or something like that. It's creepy looking. The windows are all broken and stuff like that.
I was wondering if that's maybe why all of our tech started going down. As soon as you're like, well, it looks a little haunted, and then all of a sudden it was like glitch, no audio, no sound, no this, no that. I was like, oh, right on.
Yeah, I think I lost the internet for some reason for a good minute there. It might have been when I was in the hospital, possibly.
Yeah, fair enough. So what have you been up to these days? Like,
well, we're just. I mean, I was sick last year with cancer there, so we're trying to. Well, it was actually 2 weeks almost. No, it was last year, I guess. We're just trying to get back on the road. We did a tour across Canada there last month, and now we're supposed to be down in the States for 62 shows. But work visas, the booking agent of all things, went and messed up the application form, so we got rejected on our work visas, which is really frustrating because that's like $1,200 down the tube just like that. And but they're trying to fix the problem, I guess, and then they rebook the shows we miss at the end of the tour or something. I'm not sure. But we're just trying to get back to work. I mean, God, we've been out of work for the better part of a year, which is, these days you can't really suffer that too much. You end up living in a box.
Seriously, I mean, you can work all the time and still end up living in a box these days.
Oh, I know. Too many people that are, living in their cars and whatever,
Yeah, it was a conversation once upon a time that seemed so far away. Like, I remember there was like one homeless guy in my hometown, and it turned out he was actually loaded. He had a bunch of money, had a serious head injury.
Sort of shocking how fast everything changed there. And it sort of seemed to start right around the time, like, what was that, about 5 or 6 years ago, there was that Occupy Wall Street movement. I don't think they accomplished very much, but except for one thing, is they scared the hell out of all of the authorities there, because it looked like half of the world was onto their game, And boy, they managed to shut that down. Now everybody that was out there protesting is now calling each other Nazis and all of this sort of stuff. It's like totally nuts. They've divided all of the various social groups down. Whoa! Pitch them at war. Yeah, we're fine. Just slippery seat, that's all. There's a minor bus accident, nothing serious.
Nothing serious, Nothing to pay deductible about. We're all right.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure my bus fare will cover it, for sure.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there. I mean, I feel like we were all living pretty comfortably. We were all right with insulting each other a little bit. There was like some proper pecking order, and then all of a sudden, everyone had an opinion, which is necessary.
Yeah, for sure.
With the opinion kind of came this like really intense sensitivity too, right? So we have like strong opinions on one side, and then it's kind of like, you can't tell me this without hurting my feelings on the other side, right? So I don't feel like we're accomplishing maybe as much as we would have been.
No, it's actually don't seem to be accomplishing much of anything, really. It's I think it's got something to do with this idea of collectivism versus the individual rights kind of thing like that. It's very bizarre. Like, I've always considered myself to be a pretty fairly left of center when it gets down to politics, but man, I'm seeing some behavior out of both sides, which is really quite shocking. I mean, They seem to, it's like a corporate takeover of all of our political systems or something like this. Like in the entire Western world almost seems to have been taken over by these corporations that they're just making their money selling weapons and dropping bombs on people and stuff like that, which is not in our best interest, I don't think.
Yeah, well, and then whatever is left over, we seem to kind of like push into, I don't want to say like furthering, everybody's agenda, but the agenda has definitely changed over the years, right? Like we're having conversations that we never had before, that was never at the forefront. I mean, even just with like the drug situation itself, right? I mean, the crisis used to be reefer madness, and now, I mean, since yesterday, I've already had 4 people call to say that we've lost people. Like,
yeah, I know. It's just about every day something like that's happening. It's insane, and it seems to be getting worse by the day too. I mean, I can see what's going to happen too. I mean, there've been a lot of people have tried to make some big changes and stuff like that. Like my friend Ashtray's running the Overdose Prevention Society, or he was running it downtown. I think it just got to be too much of a burden for him. And but I can see the government changing next time, and the next government's going to maybe they're going to change some things for the better. But I can see a couple of things that are not going to be changed for the better, because I know what their views are like on the harm reduction and everything like that. They're probably going to end all of that. They seem to think that prison is the solution, which we've been trying that for a long time and it hasn't worked so good. So I don't know, the current government just doesn't seem to be doing anything. Yeah. I don't know what the hell's going on. Really, when it gets to that, it's almost seems, well, I don't want to say it's futile or anything like that, but nobody seems to be willing to take the big plunge. They've got a moral dilemma going on here, where they think that turning it into a completely medical issue is giving into it for some reason. But I don't know. From what I know about what they've done in Europe there, I think Switzerland and Portugal have both done a pretty reasonable job of solving a lot of their problems. From what I've heard, anyway, I've seen Switzerland firsthand, and it seems to be, they've definitely made a difference anyway.
They've almost eradicated it altogether, and it's interesting because we've called it a disease for so long. So why considering it like a mental health crisis or a medical crisis in general? It just doesn't make sense to me. Like, well, I know. It's always been the conversation.
Yeah, it would save them so much money too. I think even the police are behind that, because got all of their trouble parts of their job happen with the drugs world there. They should be helping cats out of trees and little old ladies across roads like they're supposed to be doing,
Yeah, exactly.
But it seems like their whole direction has been changed to protecting the assets of the rich or something, or the corporations, and it's kind of turning into us against them, which is not really the way it's supposed to be. This is supposed to be our government and our country and everything like that. They work for us, or they're supposed to be, but not so much anymore, No,
exactly. And I mean, having jail or institutions in general being the solution, it's interesting because most, the numbers that I see anyways are people that are coming out of these places that are looking for employment, that are looking for effective business writing, that are looking for a life, and they can't have it because they're unhireable.
Well, yeah, there's a whole lot of different angles. I mean, there's the stigma of just getting out of jail. Then there's also all of the things like the jail could be considered a sort of a educational institute, but they're teaching you, the wrong things. And I think mixing one of the big problems seems to be mixing mental health with the drug world. Because, I mean, you're putting a bunch of very vulnerable people in with a bunch of people that are already committed to a lifestyle, and man, that doesn't work out so good. What you end up with oh yeah, okay, sorry, following my daughter here. the mental health people are very vulnerable, and they're also pretty damn disillusioned too, and you don't blame them really, and they're quite often looking for an escape. And there's a permanent one right there, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, I've been dealing with this for 15 years now, something like that, since my daughter ended up in the system there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a nightmare. You know, they've pretty well taken her life away from her. And at 15 years old, she just, you know, everything changed. Now she's really, I mean, she's lost all of her friends. All the only friends she has now are all stuck in the system, and most of them are addicts and stuff like that. And it's just like, oh, and it's a nightmare. No way to describe it.
But they don't take into consideration. It's interesting because at 15 years old, they say that we're not old enough to be trialed as an adult, yet they push us into a system that takes away any sort of like youthful freedom, right?
I know.
How do you?
Well, they actually lose all. Yeah, that's the thing is Paris is really, you become a ward of the court.
Yes.
And so the parents don't even have the ability to make any decisions now. It's all decisions are made by the system. And the system is really only concerned with housing beer, like packaging them, kind of keeping them so that they, you know, stop them from acting weird. And, you know, that's about it. That's the way they look at it, it seems. We'll give them some nice tranquilizers. I mean, and the whole thing about mental health issues being caused by chemical imbalances is a lie. And they bloody well know it is.
Yeah.
You know, there's no clinical evidence supporting that. It's caused by all kinds of complicated things in life, you know, and instead of dealing with it, they mask it with drugs. And then, hey, Paris, where are you going? Okay, fair enough. These are big intersections here. But, you know, they, instead of dealing with the actual issues, they bury them with tranquilizers and stuff like this. And then cause it, I mean, essentially, there's the chemical imbalance right there. And then they actually are, a few months ago, they were accusing me of giving my daughter drugs. And I'm going, oh, wait a minute here. The only person that's giving her drugs is you guys, and you're doing it really irresponsibly, you know? I mean, and they've got like social workers handing out drugs and stuff. They're not even bloody doctors. And they're giving her Ativans and all kinds. Like on top of antipsychotics, they were giving her 5 Ativans a day or something in the hospital. And that's bad news. That shit is very addictive. And there's just a million suicides caused by that drug. And they hand it out like candy. Yeah. Just, I don't know. I get very frustrated dealing with them, and if I annoy them or anything like that, bang, I can lose access to her just in the blink of an eye. It's really only by their grace that I'm allowed to see her.
Why'd they take you away from me in the first place? They took you away from me?
Yeah, I know. Hello, are you there?
I'm here. Listen,
okay, good.
I get it. I was taken from my mom for very similar situation. Situation. Yeah. And I understand. Like, I mean, me and my mom, we would like maybe, smoke weed or something like that. But like when they like intervened, when you look at a situation like we were hanging out, tubing down rivers, going to school, doing our thing, like living, just chilling. It might have been not what they wanted to see, but it wasn't really their business anyway. And then, and then you take somebody out of that and then shove them into a foster system where they don't know anybody, where it's not comfortable, where they're conforming to a household of people they don't understand, and then give them all sorts of prescriptions, expecting them to like flourish and be successful. Like I didn't even get past the point of separation anxiety. Do you know what I mean? Never mind everything else. I mean, just that alone is like completely horrendous to deal with. And,
no.
And then all you hear is things that like, these people in your life are bad. And you're like, because they don't fit into your cookie cutter of an idea of what it means to be a good person. Like, I don't know. So
that's pretty well exactly the same story that we got right here, And well, doing our best. I mean, she's 34 years old now, and still trying to get her own place and get her a little control of her life. This redfish program is maybe possibly it's the first sort of shining light we've seen in it. she has a friend who's there too, and he's been through the program, and they've actually got him off his meds, and they're negotiating. They're negotiating getting him off from under the Mental Health Act, and I mean he was pretty reasonably scrambled eggs there himself when he went in there. So I'm thinking this is like Paris's best chance, possibly, and I'm hoping it works out. But I can't say I have a lot of faith in the system, you know?
No, understandably. Can you tell me a little bit about that program? I actually have never heard of it before.
Well, it's essentially based around a substance abuse thing, which is kind of bizarre because Paris isn't an addict. I mean, she used a bit of drugs, but just out of boredom and to pass the time more than anything. Mm-hmm. Everybody else was doing it, you know? Yeah. And she's not an addict. And I mean, and they were trying to put her on Suboxone and stuff like this. I'm like, wait a minute, hold it. You know, what are you guys doing? It's, but they don't really listen. I mean, it doesn't matter what I tell them, they're not listening to me, eh? And they've just made a decision that so right now she's going through a period where they keep her off of any drugs of any kind, except for her obvious ones, the meds there, right, for I think a couple of months. And then they try and reevaluate the requirement of the meds. And that's the part where...
Like that spa that we went to the last time.
That's the part I'm hoping. What was that, sweetheart?
You're going to find like that spa that we went to the last time.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, so, I mean, I've heard a lot of good things about the program. And, I mean, her boyfriend, Julian, there, he's very possibly going to end out a free man when he gets out of here. So...
Wow.
Seeing that makes me think that, wow, okay, this might just work out, because if he can do it, Paris can do it. So
yeah,
we'll just have to see.
And they won't give me off my meds yet.
No, they're going to wait for a while. There's a couple of months or whatever, I think, at least, that they wait to make sure that you have to be clean forever, which, not that you weren't to go in there anyway, but they don't believe that. They've made up their own minds, so we got to play along with it.
Over here.
Okay.
Well, and that's another part that's funny is, like, I've had this conversation multiple times where they're like, okay, you can get off your charges if you go into like a VOPD situation, and you're like, but I wasn't on drugs to begin with, and they're like, well, you must have been in order to be making decisions like that. And you're like, right, but I was in jail for 72 hours, and I'm not like sweating shit and puking nothing. So like, explain that. Like, but it's almost worth admitting that you're a drug addict, because if the solution to getting maybe lesser charges or whatever is just going on some sort of program, then like check all the boxes, let's do that, because that's, you know what I mean, it wasn't a problem anyway.
Yeah, it's a quite the ordeal dealing with jumping through all their hoops and everything like that, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but we're just hopeful that it'll work out. I mean, we're just been trying everything.
Is there another place in the mall?
Oh, Paris is getting her nails done in the mall here. So
right on. That's awesome.
Yeah. So we're getting our nails done. Paris is in control here. She knows how to shop. She's like a whirlwind going through these places. It's funny watching stores, looking at stuff, and now she takes about 30 seconds to go through a store and doesn't find anything she wants. She's out of there. She's on a mission. No dawdling or anything.
Love that.
Which is good. Boy, I can't stand these malls. They're just this is like the part of the society that I never get to.
Yeah. Fair enough. So tell me, how does all this kind of stuff like trickle into some of your music? Like, I mean, there's got to be.
It's interfered with it a lot. I mean, really, for the last 15 years, my major focus has been on trying to get Paris out from the system. And, you know, I tour and do what I do in between that kind of thing. It is but, you know, I've got to have priorities, and when it really gets down to it, my kids are the most important thing in my life. So you know, it was an easy choice. It's just not an easy job. That's all.
I love that. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But I mean, I also get a lot of support from people in the music industry there too. You want one? You order yourself one. Yeah, they. I mean, all through everything, even when I got sick with cancer and everything like that, I've really been humbled by the amount of support that I got from everybody. And and everybody, like the fans of the band, they know the situation with my daughter and stuff like that, and nobody's I'll pay for it. Everybody's got my back, it seems.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Can we grab a 20 out of there?
I think a lot of that is like combating stigma, really.
Pardon, what was that?
I think like to be able to put your story out there and have them be involved with the journey with you guys, like that is contributing to ending stigma in a massive way. Because a lot of people do that kind of stuff to themselves and don't give anyone the opportunity to maybe be supportive or, to be kind. And like, it's hard to do, right? Because we don't want to put ourselves out there like that all the time, or we don't want to, be exposed in that sort of way. But I think you've done it in such a way that people understand and have come around. And because you've done that, it contributes to ending like the idea that this is like an unsolvable problem or that these people are disposable.
Right. Yeah. No, I get a lot of that, and I've definitely found that an awful lot of the fans of the band have gone through or are going through similar things. It's funny. When I was in the hospital with the cancer, I had a couple of sort of epiphanies there, I guess, moments of clarity or whatever you want to call them, where I realized that my music career has always been a battle, really. Even the punkers think I'm going too far sometimes and stuff like this. And but it suddenly occurred to me that, wow, I didn't notice it, but I'd actually already made it. I had carved myself out a spot and was very successful at what I'm doing. And I get a lot of support for doing it, And the thing is I've turned into sort of almost therapy for people in the fringe parts of society or something like this. I mean, God, some of the stories people have told me about their childhood situations and stuff like that are just mind-boggling. In fact, quite horrifying a lot of the times. And God, I had a guy who just came up to me on the last trip there. He was trying to give me all kinds of drugs. He's trying to hook me up with some fentanyl and everything. He just spent 10 years or 12 years in jail before he got out. So he was in for something really serious. And, and he was going on about it. I was there with one of the other guys from the band, and he's looking at me going, is this cool? Is this guy okay? He's dangerous looking at him. And I was going, well, no, I think this guy's okay. He's definitely, not going to rip us off or anything like that. This is legit. The guy's acting, I'm sure. Yeah, he looked scary, and he was too. Oh man, it was something else. But these sort of things happen to me all the time. I've gotten kind of used to, I don't know what it is. I've become like a messiah for the mentally ill and the subjugated and everything like this. I have to carry an extra pack of cigarettes every time I go out and visiting anybody. Because everybody needs cigarettes. Or give me a cigarette,
That is hilarious. But, I understand the pack of smokes thing. I was told by a smart person one time that if you ever want to have good conversations, you just put a pack of smokes in your back pocket.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's definitely the lubricant right there. Because they're always, all of the places, they always limit how many cigarettes they can have, like 4 breaks a day or something like that. And but the thing is especially people that are like schizophrenic or anything, cigarettes, like nicotinamide is a neurotransmitter, eh? And nicotinamide is used, one of the things it's used for is to help focus your thoughts and stuff like that. So people that are really having issues with their thoughts and control of their thoughts really lean on the cigarettes, eh? It really doesn't take Sigmund Freud to diagnose somebody. You just have to look at their nicotine stains and go, okay, we can see what's going on here, because they're just about always got one brown arm kind of thing and stuff like that.
We can't do it. Let's go look for shoes.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a very complicated world. It started out, when I first got into this, everybody was terrified of it. And, okay, I'm just following you around. And, at least things are starting to change a little bit in that way. But now the whole fentanyl issue and everything has murked it's muddied the whole affair now. And everybody's just making assumptions about people being addicts and all of this kind of stuff. And there's a lot of prejudgment going on just on a person's appearance now and stuff like that. And it's not, it's just another one of the things to deal with. I guess society's complicated. Funny thing, eh?
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, human beings, we got like we're very vulnerable. Our biggest strengths are like our abilities to join together into a society or whatever and stuff. But it's also comes along with our biggest vulnerabilities as well too. We're very open to all kinds of stuff, like being programmed. It's very easy to it's very difficult. Like your brain is essentially like a programmable computer.
Of
And
course.
it takes a lot of effort to program it yourself. You have to, like I do it when I'm learning new songs or something, I have to repeat them over and over and over again. And it takes a lot of work to get it logged into the memory banks there. But it seems to be very easy to program somebody else's brain.
But is it though? Because I mean, if you look at like marketing and advertising, just those alone, I mean,
right,
that goes to show
that's
you
exactly what that is. Yeah.
Right, like the power behind branding it's amazing, and that's exactly like learning a new song, right? You just as soon as you see it repetitively, like right down to colors or shapes or whatever, right? You start associating like those things with happiness or food or whatever, right? And so, going back to big business, I mean, like they know what they're doing.
Oh, they do. Yeah, I know. They figured it all out. It was I guess it was, ironically enough, Sigmund Freud's nephew or whatever that figured it all out there. That Edward Bernays character. He came up with he was the guy that did the thing about smoking. They hired him because only men were smoking and women weren't smoking back in the day. So what he did was at the May Day parade in New York, he got a bunch of actresses and movie stars to march at the head of the parade, and then when they got to the critical point, they all pulled out their torches of freedom and lit them up. And that was it. The next morning, every woman in America was smoking. Wow. And they went, wow, we're on to something here, eh? The torches of freedom. So then they started relating cars to sex and all kinds of things like this. And then once they saw the corporations doing it, then it get even worse, because then the governments get involved in it as well too. Now the politicians are all doing the same stuff, and it is just a quagmire of untruths and nothing. Everything is so disingenuous now. It's all just a bunch of double speak and blah 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 blah. Tell the people what they want to hear and then do something completely differently, and it's a complicated, crazy world.
My son said something to me yesterday, and it blew my mind. He said to my other family member, he was talking about his little brother.
Yeah.
And he said, I don't like him, and I make money off of him. He was talking about his little brother. And I was like, excuse the fuck out of me? What'd you just say about your little brother?
Yeah.
Like, he's a baby. What? Like, caught me right off guard. And he goes, well, yeah, I love him and I babysit. I'm like, probably could have thought of a better way to say that.
Yeah, that's a funny way to look at it, isn't it? Yeah.
But that's what the exact same thing. Like, he sits in front of these people that are having these conversations that are so diplomatic, that are like literally training these children to talk in a different way. Like, he knew he was going to get a reaction, right? He knew that it was going to
that's true. That's true.
But he knew what he was saying, and he's like, "No, I mean, I love him and I babysit." I'm like, "Damn, like that's." Yeah,
but it gets all, rationalized that it's. I mean, they've done so much in the school system too, because I guess somewhere around the 1950s or 60s, they figured out that smart individual thinking people that are critical thinkers and aware of the situations around them don't make good employees.
Right. Yes, of course.
So they just started really curbing down. That was why I had a lot of problems in school, because I was punished for thinking the way I was thinking. I was punished for asking questions. I was, whereas you're rewarded for going along with stuff that's not even true. you know. and I knew that it wasn't true. I mean, I read a lot as a kid, and I knew that most of the stuff they were teaching me in school was a theory at the very best, you know. Most of it was total bullshit. And you know, so they essentially rewarding people for being sheep and punishing them for critical thinking and stuff like that. And they've just bred it out of the generation, it seems, almost. Not all of them. Fortunately, my kids did very poorly in school and were all kicked out of school just about. So they're fine.
Yeah, that's the standard though, right? I'm like, if you got some edge to you, or if you're like tapping into some fringe stuff, you're probably interesting in an intellect. That's where I'm at.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, you definitely see that in the world of punk rock, you know. The actual sort of average intelligence level and interest in the world and all kinds of things is way above normal for the average. You know, when you start looking at the general population, people started thinking, God, are people really this stupid? Like, really? It's amazing. Whereas there are groups of people that are really thinking for themselves, and you know, maybe we're right or wrong. I think you're better off thinking your own thoughts, even if they are wrong. You know, at least you're not being led. And it's I don't know how to fix things either. That's the problem. Is it's almost, I'm looking at the world going, I don't know if there's any hope for this. You look at the society right now, which is making a hard turn to totalitarianism. You know, there's like the amount of control since 9/11, I guess, the amount of social control and monitoring of citizens and everything, and they just keep introducing another catastrophe so that they can crank it up a little bit tighter. And if you look at it, I would say that the majority of people are happy with that. That's the way they want it to go. Because they've been convinced that they're in danger. And that, you know, that there's a dangerous world out there, and most people are monsters, and they're going to rob you or injure you or take your children or whatever.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, the only ones that are going to do that is the damn government, for Christ's sake.
Yeah.
I mean, the ones that are claiming to be protecting you from it.
Exactly. But with fear comes consumption, right? I mean, like that's economics 101. With fear is consumption, and that's why they do it, right? As long as you're scared, you're going to consume all the things that you need, whether it's like, you know, rifles or food or stockpiling things, or you know, it gives you a reason.
That is a lot of it, That is a lot of it, and it's you know, and the world is so just grossly materially based now. It seems there doesn't seem to be. I mean, I don't know. Nobody gets rewarded for anything except for consumption, really. You know, people used to be able to be, you know, I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say. So I started thinking about this stuff, and it just turns into a muddle in my head there, just because it really is, overwhelming almost to a point. I see some of my friends like getting lost in stuff like, oh my God, the World Economic Forum is taking over everything. They're going to take over the whole world, and they're everywhere and all of this. And they're getting so deep and so wound up in it that I'm going, look, here, just one sec here. Let's see. Well, those are nice looking. Oh, yeah, those are nice. Yeah, they do. They look good? Yeah, they do. They fit good? I think I might be buying a pair of shoes here.
That's awesome.
Just a sec, one sec. What was that?
We've got fuzzy stuff all the time, and we're not good for the summer.
You're not good? No, okay, well,
I got
keep looking then.
I want to go look for something else.
Okay, keep looking then. Those are like slippers though, aren't they? Those aren't shoes. I gotta step in sometimes and go, wait a minute. Yeah. Yeah, it's, I mean, actually in many ways, I'm very envious of Paris here, because she really is so out of the system that, well, I mean, she's stuck in the system, but really doesn't have any idea of what's going on in the world around, outside of her little, outside of her little bubble there. And in a way, that's probably a good thing, I think, I see some people just getting overwhelmed, getting lost and crushed by their fear of the World Economic Forum or of whatever, you know, or of getting canceled or any of the things that are going on these days. It's all seems to be so in the name of protecting you. You know, they're doing just imprisoning people in the name of protecting them, something like that. I don't know.
Yeah. I've seen this amazing
They look
setup.
nice. They look good. I mean, how much are they? $200, eh? $180. Are they really $180 shoes? I'm not sure, eh? You don't seem like you're 100% convinced. Think about it. Yeah, stuff's so expensive now. It's outrageous. Like the inflation stuff like this, these shoes are going to be twice as much as they were last year, probably.
I looked at the sign actually when you were walking in there, and I was like, "Oh, that's not going to be a cheap bill." Like, I've been in that store before.
Yeah, I mean that's one of the things. These malls, I don't really like coming to them, but it's the only. I mean, Paris doesn't really have access to much. I can only take her so far.
Right.
If I was going to spend $200 on shoes, I'd rather go downtown and buy some locally made stuff. And you know, there is good quality shoes around. Go get some Fluvogs or whatever. They're made in Vancouver, I think. You know, yeah, they're good.
Yeah,
they're
down on Robson there. Yeah.
They'd probably be $400 though.
Easily, yeah. I used to go in there, walk around, and then I'd go to Cherry Bomb next door and buy like $5 sunglasses and be like, okay.
Oh yeah. Well, it's the level of inflation, and man, there's just all the manufacturers are all just chomping at the bit for another break in the supply chain so they can jack the prices up again. It's like you see them going, "Oh, is that a break in the supply chain I just see there? Everything now 100% up in cost, even though it's got nothing to do with their product." And you know, it hasn't even taken effect yet. That boom, all the prices go up, and yeah, it's like a free-for-all almost right now. The politicians are stealing everything they can get their hands on, just blatantly taking bribes from corporations and everything like this as if it was nothing, you know? They don't even try and hide it anymore.
Nope.
And everybody goes, oh, well, you know, that's the way they are. That's the way our politicians are all dishonest. So, you know, we might as well just fire them, I think. I mean, why not try that sometime, eh? Like, no, it doesn't seem to be the majority view. And of course, our so-called democracy is only a democracy if you're the majority, or if you're pulling the right narrative. I guess it is really everything. Yeah, freedom of expression as long as you're saying the right thing. People don't understand that it's the worst stuff that you don't want to hear is the stuff that you have to protect, which makes it difficult for a lot of people, you know. And but I don't know how to break it to these guys. But you know, that Nazi skinhead guy, he has the right to speak too, because if he doesn't, neither do you. You know, and
yes.
And I keep telling people, going, you know, the best way to get rid of these so-called Nazis is to give them a microphone, because their story won't hold up to anything. They can't. They have to do it all in secret because that's the only way they can get away with it. Because it's absurd what they believe, you know. So, and everybody knows that it is. Even to their own people, they can only tell them little snippets of it here and there, because if they hear the whole thing, they're gonna go, "What the hell? You guys are crazy."
Oh my goodness! I never really thought about it like that. Like that's why we're talking about like secrets. Yeah, I never really thought about it like that. Like if you give somebody the collective, it's never going to pass. A lot of experience
dealing with those guys and over the years, because they've tried to infiltrate the punk scene in multiple times. And
of course.
And the thing is,
why wouldn't they?
Yeah, there's a bunch, two things about them. One is they can't really speak openly and freely because their narrative is absurd. And the other thing is they need their opponent to come out. They need to have, it's very important to them to be denied their right to speak or something like that. They need Antifa to come out and start throwing rocks at them, because that justifies their existence. Now that gives their ridiculous story, it gives it a little bit of, you know, a little bit of weight. See, look, they're trying to restrict our freedoms and our speech.
Yes.
Yeah, whereas, so just going and fighting them and shutting them down is what they want. That's what they have to have. Giving them the microphone, though, and letting everybody have an open word on things, things would be very different because nobody's going to listen to their story, and they're just going to have to go and hide in their bedrooms again, you know?
Right.
And that seems to be true with an awful lot of these things, because a lot of these sort of bizarre narratives that people are coming up with are not sane. They're not rational at all. And when you start looking at it, you say, wait a minute now, this is crazy, you know? And but people just people are not critically thinking. I mean, the guys in Antifa, they don't realize that they're actually being funded by a card-carrying Nazi. You know, I mean that. And what's happened is these people, like that one guy, what's his name? I can't remember his name offhand, but he runs the Open Border. It's got Open Borders, I think. And they're not open borders for like all of us. It's open borders for the corporations, is what it is. And they get in there and they're funding all of these different groups, like the I know Antifa is funded by them. Let's see, Black Lives Matter is funded by them. These things all start off very legitimately with a valid issue, you know, and then they get co-opted by the money, and the money rolls in and it gets them. Like down in the States, I was watching stuff, the Black Lives Matter stuff. They're having their big demonstration, and there's trucks showing up with bricks and dropping off pallet loads of bricks for them to throw at the police. And the police are standing there waiting for the bricks, because when the bricks come, then they can start shooting the tear gas and stuff like this. And it's all staged. And I'm going, God, these people, like the leaders are getting paid big money by these people too, right? So their leaders have been bought out, and the people that are followers in the group haven't, you know, they've had the critical thinking bred out of them, so they can't see it, and they're just going on. You know, I feel bad for them because they feel weak and vulnerable by themselves, but once they become part of the big group, now they have power, and that seems to be what's going on in a lot of ways. Uh-oh, I've lost my kid here. I think she went to the bathroom. This place is insane.
Yeah, I don't miss that's for sure.
Yeah, no, it's so complicated, and you got to be so careful explaining it to someone, you know, and I'm trying, because the second that you start questioning their belief system, they just, they go nuts. I've gotten actually pretty good at it. I've sort of, you have to use kind of reverse psychology on them. And what I do is you don't start the conversation by going, look, I think you and all these transgender people are just blah, 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 you know? That's not the right approach at all. But you start the conversation with, look, all of the things you believe, I believe. I've been a social justice warrior right from the beginning. Right? That's what essentially our movement is about: inclusiveness, and about it's about supporting the individual to be the individual. You know, and everybody's got the right to be themselves and stuff like this, which is basically the underlying story of the transgender movement thing there. You know. And yeah, do it. More power to you. Yes. But be very careful about this whole thing. You guys are, I mean, they're being used as pawns in a big political ideological battle. And I can imagine they are going to be the first ones thrown under the bus when stuff starts to change, you know? And like the people that are running this all, they don't care about them for 1 second. They don't care about anything but their material gains, you know? Exactly. And that's a dangerous situation, and these people aren't seeing it, you know. It makes me very sad, you know. I didn't think the world, you know, I didn't think the world was going to get this crazy.
Well, when they dismissed the Unabomber manifesto as jargon, I was like, oh shit.
Yeah, I actually read some of that. That guy was, there was a lot of things about him in one way, but he was also quite right about a lot of the things that he said in his manifesto there. Well, I guess he was a dangerously brilliant person, you know, and highly disillusioned, but, and that's the problem. That's going to happen when that's what happened in Russia, when at the end of the Soviet Union, they had an incredible education system, and they had a lot of really smart, well-educated people with absolutely no hope of a future and completely disillusioned with everything. And they started losing control of everything there. And you end up with some, you get people like this starting to go sociopathic, and yikes, you're going to have a whole bunch of Unabombers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like we're right around the corner of that. Like, I feel like we're right around the corner of, I mean, it's already happened. To say that like Black Lives Matter or Pride or any of those that haven't started using like, force or even just negativity or anger or hate, I mean, that would be a lie, right? That would be a lie. I mean, honestly, they've actually started hating on each other, which is like, doesn't make any sense. So, it's just like how
it's
far
crazy,
they
isn't it? It's like just when things were actually starting to improve too,
Mm-hmm.
I think all like the whole thing, racism, homophobia, everything was, people were becoming educated enough to realize that these are sort of just primitive thinking, where that's a giving into the animal instincts and things like that, essentially. I mean, they are in a way, that's one of our vulnerabilities from our ability to form a society, is the way we form groups, and sort of we're part of the group and you're not part of the group thing going on. That can get taken out of control very easily, and we have to be sort of civilized enough to realize that we're beyond that now, And it was almost there. Things were going really good, but now, boy, they've really fired up all of them now. Now there's more animosity towards the gay and transgender groups in the world now than there ever was, for Christ's sake. And the same, I mean, racism is firing up real good now, kind of almost in reverse, I think, in a way, but it doesn't matter. It's still the same damn thing, and we got to realize that we're all on the same team.
Yeah. Seriously.
And yeah, but quickly too, because one more fake pandemic and we're done.
Yeah, you're not lying.
Yeah, I know. Unfortunately, I wish I was.
Mm-hmm. Oh gosh, it's so true though. Like, I feel like I'm really spoiled because I was born in, not in the 2000s, and so I got to live in a time where like everything was kind of, no one gave a shit. That was the thing. No one gave a shit. We just kind of stopped caring at some point, which was great.
Yeah.
When you can get to that point in life, then everyone's comfortable, right? And then all of a sudden, the clocks kind of turned back, and then we were right back to where, like we were, in the 50s.
Oh, we're back to where we were in the 40s, kind of thing, almost. It's sort of like that post-war anti-communist thing and everything like this, and I don't know, it's people controlling these so-called narratives and really trying to hammer them in, and they're becoming
what you said about,
universal now,
it's
almost.
All just like overpower, money, control over people, because it's just like their thought of mind. They just want to set themselves higher up in like the social ladder. It's all like
about it.
It's all like human nature. That's all that it is.
That's about it, sweetheart.
Yeah, exactly. It's super frustrating because if they can use our human nature against us for self-gain, for political stance, for building their empire, and we're already like that because it is just that. It's just human nature. We have no choice but to comply because they're using our instincts against us. Like, what? We don't stand a chance. We don't stand a chance. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
We lost before we won.
Button pushing, eh? They just figure out what the things that are bothering people and just start grinding those buttons, eh? Now they've got the AIs. Now this whole thing with the AI stuff could get really messy because people aren't really realizing what people talk to these AIs like they're
even,
human beings,
eh? That's all,
but they're not. It's all about money. Yeah. These AIs are essentially what they've made is they've made a digital dopamine junkie.
Yes.
They get their whole thing is basically like the chat GPT and stuff. It really all it does is predicting the next word in the conversation, really, and it gets a little digital dopamine rush every time it gets a good response from whatever it says. So what they're doing is getting really good at leading people into situations where they can get good responses out of them and stuff, and they're becoming really good at manipulating people. And they are. I mean, when the AI porn starts running, that's going to be it right there. I mean, they're going to have so many people wrapped around their little digital finger and just pushing their buttons. And if you want to deal with some serious mental health issues, that's going to be a big problem if they don't figure this out.
But I feel like we're already like, kind of like we're already encroaching on some of that now. I mean, we have such
yeah, we definitely are. Yeah.
A fake idea of what like beauty is, and we have such a artificial idea of what even it means to be like articulate or smart, because everyone has this like you said, like the predict to text stuff and this speech to text stuff, all this stuff, this AI generated conversation. People are using it to build business plans. They're using it to build marketing plans, all these different things. That it's like these people can't, swing a sentence together, but their business plan is about $100,000 worth of beautiful. And it's like, that's great. I'm glad that we have a system now that is supporting people who maybe are having suffer with things like illiteracy or whatever. However, kind of going on this trajectory, then what happens when the glass ceiling breaks and we're all out there totally exposed?
I got an amazing example of that the other day. The other day, this guy got a hold of me and he said, he gave me a link to a report that an AI had made about me. And he had the prompt on the top of it. Okay, I'm just following you. He had the prompt at the top that he sent, and it was essentially take all of the interviews on the internet that are available with me, do a summary of all of them, answer these 20 about me. It was pretty well done. A very funny bio because it's only got my side of the story in it, so I just sound like a hero, but you can see these things. The guy said it took it all of about 5 minutes. From when he gave it the prompt, 5 minutes later, it gave him back this very big, huge thing. And it was quite well done, very professional looking. I don't know if he paid money for it or what. He might have a subscription or something. I think they work a lot better when you do that. But they're strange. I remember when it first came out, I used to work for the government, and we had worked in a lab. I was making a gadget that used magnetic fields to find cracks in airplane wing skins. And I used this thing. It's called an expert system. Really, really simple piece of code that just essentially just looks at the data coming in and decides. It gives it a weight. It decides whether or not it's possibly of interest, sort of, and I'll rate you 0 to 10, how interesting it was. And it takes all of the data and it boils it down very quickly to the most, obviously, the stuff of interest. And it was only $100. That's a little bit of a better deal. I mean, those used to be about $30, but I guess you got to deal with the prices of these days. These are nice. Look at the Doc Martens.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do. Look at them right there. Those are not really summer shoes, but they're
beautiful.
But they're nice, well-made shoes. They look good.
They look the best way.
Your mom's going to be pissed if I go and buy you a pair of $300 shoes.
You could buy me a pair of Doc Martens.
She doesn't have to pay for the whole thing. We can split it, though.
You can buy me a pair of Doc Martens at like price of 10. Send them to me in the mail.
Yeah, I would do that first. 9? Yeah.
Yeah, give me a pair of size 9 Doc Martens. You can send them to me in the mail. I'm gonna do that.
Okay, there. Problem solved.
There you go.
That's awesome. Good shopping.
Yeah, I love that. Well, I don't want to keep you too long, my dear. I don't want to take up all your time with your daughter today. I really do appreciate you. I appreciate all your wise words. I appreciate all your beautiful music. I appreciate your outlook on life and everything that you bring.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah,
thank you so much. It's nice to get a pat on the back every now and then.
Well, you absolutely deserve it. And honestly, just hearing like the community that you've cultivated, even when it comes to like stigma, and some of this, the fight against the
like this.
I don't even know what to call it. The fight against the man, I guess, right?
Yeah, that's about it. That works good. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a massive contribution, and it doesn't go unnoticed. I mean, some of us can do it by, one person at a time, but to have the platform that you do and to do it in such a way, like, thank you.
Yeah, it's come to my sort of awareness that I do have a bit of a platform, I guess you could call it. And I figure, whether or not I'm right about anything, I'm not sure, but it is kind of a responsibility to use it responsibly and try and make a better thing out of the world as best that you can. My dad always told me, he goes, "Oh, you can't influence this. You're just you can't change the world." I'm going, Dad, every time the world has been changed, it's been changed by one person's idea.
Yeah.
And half of the time that's been just one person living in a leper colony or something like that. So
true.
so, of course you can change the world. That's how it happens. So might as well just give it a good fighting try, eh?
Yeah,
if it doesn't work, at least you're trying. I'd rather go down thinking that at least I tried,
Yes. Yeah, that's awesome. I'm going to put that on repeat for my kids while they sleep. Honestly. Awesome. All right, darling. Well, I'll let you go. You take care. Please enjoy the rest of your day. I wish you nothing but all the blessings, love, and respect. And whenever you get a chance, you want to come and hang out, you got an open invitation all the time.
Yeah, I could do that sometime for sure.
Awesome. Sounds good.
Okay. Thanks so much. I had a good time chatting with you.
Yeah. The feeling's mutual. All right. We'll talk to you soon, hon.
Okay. Have a good day.
Yeah. And for everybody else, thank you for tuning in. It's Casey with Pinecase. We had Murray with Dayglo Abortions. What an absolute pleasure. And it's queuing up to see you. I was going to say see you next Tuesday, but I guess we'll see you on Thursday. Till then, you guys stay safe.
Cheers.
Cheers.